The purpose of this video is to explain the assignments that fall under the weekly assignments category. Specifically, this category includes the quiz and discussion forum assignments. Unlike the exams and response papers, these assignments will be, as the name suggests, more regular weekly occurrences, will focus on a more limited amount of material, and will be worth fewer points. However, they will also be one of the primary ways in which you interact with the material, your classmates, and your instructor on a consistent and regular basis. Before we dive into explaining this material, there is one general point it is important to make. This video was made with a syllabus and course page for a section of Philosophy 1301 that was designed to be taught in the fall of 2021. For that reason, if you are not taking that class in that particular semester, then not everything you see on the syllabus or Blackboard page in this video may apply to you. For instance, the number of quizzes and discussion forums you are required to complete, or the specific due dates for those assignments may be different on this video than they are for your particular class section. For that specific information which applies to your particular section, please consult the course syllabus and weekly instructions, which can be found on Blackboard. Now, that being said, there are still many general points about these weekly assignments that will be important for you to know no matter when you are taking this class, and it is these general points that I will cover in this video. Let's begin by discussing the quiz assignments. The quizzes have a variety of purposes. They provide a periodic check of a student's comprehension of the material, ensure important ideas are being understood, or in some cases, just make sure that students understand basic facts about how the class will work. The first question about the quizzes is this: how do I know if I need to complete a quiz in any given week? To find out if some particular week of the course has a quiz and when that quiz is due, you can consult the course schedule on the syllabus or the instruction documents that I send each week. As an example, consider the Week 1 area of the course schedule. Here we see in the assignments section that you are required to complete Quiz 1, and that quiz is due by the end of the week, specifically by the end of the day on Sunday. Furthermore, the syllabus also provides additional information that tells you about the format of the quiz and its content. In this particular instance, we see that the quiz will consist of 10 true or false questions, that there will not be a time limit for quiz 1, that you can make as many attempts at the quiz as you want, and finally that the quiz will cover material from lectures 1 and 2. It is important to recognize that this will not always be the case. Other quizzes may have different question formats, more stringent time limits, and only permit you to make one attempt. However, you will always be able to find out that information by consulting the course schedule of the syllabus. In addition, you can also find this information in the Quiz 1 area of the Blackboard page of our class. Here again, we see that Quiz 1 has no time limit, unlimited attempts, and will cover the material from lectures 1 and 2. Remember that this information can also be found on the weekly instruction documents that I send out each week. Now that we have a sense of how to find out the basic information about the quizzes, it may be useful to see how the mechanics of taking the quiz work. When you are ready to begin the quiz, you can simply click on the link, and then click Continue. You can then see that the quiz will present the questions to you one at a time. You can select your answers and move both forward to the next question as well as backward to check your work on previous questions. Once you've answered each question to your satisfaction, then simply click Save and Submit. Once you click on OK, you will be brought to a page where you can see your results. On this page, you can see how many questions you answered correctly, which questions you answered incorrectly, as well as some automated feedback that explains the correct answer. Now, hopefully, you have a solid understanding of how to take the quizzes and how to find the information you will need to make sure that you are prepared for those quizzes. Again, I want to emphasize that the specific format of the quiz will differ depending on which quiz it is, and you can find that information in the areas I detailed previously. However, the basic mechanics of taking the quiz will remain the same. The other type of assignment in the weekly assignments category is the discussion forum. I want to begin by saying something about the purpose of this assignment. If this class were being delivered in a face-to-face physical classroom setting, then ideally, discussion and debate would be prominent aspects of each class session. While it is important to first understand the ideas and arguments we will learn in this class, it is also of vital importance to be able to determine whether those arguments are sound or those ideas are true, and to engage in productive philosophical discussion that both broadens our understanding and can shape our beliefs and opinions on many important topics. While having space to discuss philosophical ideas is again of vital importance, it is also the most difficult thing to replicate in an online setting. So, in order to make sure that this component is present in our class, we will make use of discussion forums that students will complete almost every week of the course. The point of this assignment will be to give you the opportunity to develop your ideas in conversation with your classmates as well as your professor. Once again, it will be important to be able to find out when the discussion forums are due. We can find this information by consulting the weekly instruction documents as well as the course schedule on the syllabus. Again, we can use week 1 as an example. Here we see that you must complete discussion forum 1 during this week. Furthermore, you will notice that you have a first post due by the end of the day on Thursday of week 1, and response posts due at the end of the day on Sunday of week 1. Now, you may be asking at this point, what is the difference between the first post and the response posts? Here we can consult the description of this point that is given on the syllabus. As we will see shortly, each discussion forum has a specific prompt that you are required to respond to. The first post is the post that you make in response to that prompt. Speaking generally, and there could at times be exceptions, so always consult the course schedule for exact due dates. But speaking generally, your first post will be due by the end of the day on Thursday of each week. The response posts, by contrast, are your responses to the posts of other people, either your classmates or myself. And again, speaking generally, in the vast majority of cases, your response posts will be due by the end of the day on Sunday of each week. Let's look at a specific example. On your screen is the area on Blackboard for Discussion Forum 1. Let's click on the link for that discussion forum. When we open up the link for this discussion forum, we see two different types of threads are already posted. There's an Ask the Professor thread, and there's a thread that says Discussion Forum 1, Question 1. I should first explain the difference between these threads, and I will start with the Ask the Professor thread. The Ask the Professor thread is there to give you an easy way to ask questions about the material for that week. questions that you think other students might also benefit from seeing the answer to, and therefore questions which it would make sense for me to answer publicly instead of in a personal email correspondence. I check these threads regularly, and I encourage you to take advantage of them as a way to get in touch with me to clear up any confusion you might have about the material, or even if you just want to learn more about some particular topic. However, any posts that you make in this thread do not count toward the required 3 posts you need to make for each discussion forum. And remember, those 3 posts are the following: a first post that is generally due on Thursday of each week, and 2 response posts that are generally due on Sunday of each week. So while I do encourage you to make use of the Ask the Professor thread, it does not count toward the discussion forum requirements. Now, let's take a look at the discussion question thread for discussion forum 1. When we open this thread, we can see the prompt for the discussion question. This particular prompt tells you to introduce yourself with various pieces of information and then to provide an example of a philosophical question. So, your first post will be a response to this specific prompt, and then your response posts will be a response to the posts that others make in response to this prompt as well. In the example we just examined, there was only one discussion forum question. However, that will not always be the case. In some situations, there will be more than one discussion forum question. To see this, consider the example of discussion forum 4. Here we have 2 separate discussion questions: discussion forum 4 question 1 and discussion forum 4 question 2. In this case, you might ask, do you need to respond to both of these questions? Do you need to have a first post in response to question 1 and a first post in response to question 2? Well, you are certainly welcome to do so, but doing this is not required. You are only required to respond to one of these questions, and you can choose which one you would like to respond to. So, in this case, you could respond to question 1 or question 2, or even both if you are so inclined, but you would not be required to respond to both questions. With these points in place, let's turn to how I will grade your discussion forum participation. First, I will have a basic length requirement in mind. As described in the weekly assignments area of the syllabus, while there is no length requirement for the response posts, your first post in response to the prompt must be at least 100 words. Beyond this, I will grade your discussion forum participation both in terms of completion and quality. Some of your grade will be determined by whether you complete the discussion posts as instructed. Do you respond to the prompt? Is your first post at least 100 words? Is your post submitted on time? Etc., etc. In addition, a portion of your grade will also depend on the quality of your post. What I'm looking for here is the following. I want to see that your posts demonstrate you have paid close attention to the reading, perhaps that you make specific references to the reading, and that you are thinking carefully and creatively about the points we are discussing in that week's material. In addition, when you respond to others, I want your posts to go beyond simply statements like, I agree with this or I disagree with what you have said. You should aim to make constructive comments that make a significant contribution to the discussion and are intended to move it in a new and interesting direction. Doing this shows not only substantial engagement with the reading and course material, but also significant engagement with what your peers in the class think. And this is something that I encourage you to take seriously. This is because not only will making an effort to discuss the material with your peers reinforce the concepts you need to know to complete the other assignments in this class, but it also just is one of the primary ways through which you can develop the skills you need to engage in philosophical discussion, critique, and analysis. Furthermore, For those who consistently make substantial and valuable contributions to classroom discussion, I would consider rewarding some extra credit, and those students would be eligible to have their grades bumped up at the end of the semester in the case that you have a borderline grade. There is one final point to make about the discussion forums. As I have emphasized throughout this video, engaging in discussion with your peers is vital for learning philosophy. However, it is also important that we approach discussion with an attitude that is conducive to productive learning and philosophical inquiry. Specifically, when engaging with one another on the discussion forums, it is perfectly acceptable to criticize another person's argument. This is, of course, as we will see, one hallmark of what philosophy is all about: the attempt to gradually approach closer to the truth through dialogue, reason, and argument. However, this should always be done in the spirit of attempting to create a community where we can all learn from one another. And the criticism you make must always be directed toward the ideas and arguments of another person, and never toward that person, him or herself. When we disagree with another person on some topic, the point is not to make any particular claim about that person, their character, or anything else about them. It is simply to critique ideas as part of a collective effort to improve our understanding, sharpen our arguments, and approach the truth as best we can. As such, critique of another should be made from a place of humility and mutual trust. We should keep in mind that we may, and very likely do, have as much to learn from others as they have to learn from us. In any case, keeping this in mind will ensure that our discussion forum participation is governed by a productive and collegial spirit.